Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. It's Wednesday, it's September the 17th. It's just maybe 10 or 15 minutes prior to the FOMC news coming out. You can see on my news event here what we've got lined up: FOMC economic projections, the statement, the federal funds rate decision, and a press conference at 1:30 that might set the market off again. So we'll just have to see what happens. But I thought I would go ahead, and there's not many trades today. This is a typical. Actually, there's some good movement today. Very obvious. These are fairly easy to find channels that were not difficult to find. So, and there's some movement. So there's some trades, just not many of them. This is what I thought we were going to see. I was a little late getting here today, so I got started late. So it hadn't been a real good day for me so far. Um, But this is, I thought we were probably going to stay in here and chop across here, but they continue to follow this channel on down, and you can't ignore those trades there. Um, this was a nice setup here, and then it pulled back and gave you another chance too. So a little failed second entry long right here. So um, turned out there were some decent trades, and they sold off pretty hard to the downside, really. When I say fairly hard, sold off fairly hard. Not real hard, but for considering the type of day, these were some pretty good, quick, easy scalps anyway. You didn't have to wait on them. They filled pretty quickly. They moved pretty quickly and filled pretty quickly. So, but anyway, I thought I would go ahead and go through the trades, and if we still, if when the news goes off, we'll just watch it a minute and see if maybe there's anything worth talking about or discussing that comes to mind for me, and we'll add that to the video today. So we'll see how it goes. But let's talk about the trades. Try to get through them before the 1 o'clock news comes out. But early on, this looks like a trading range. There is a little bit of a channel working up here. You can see we're making higher highs and higher lows. But for the most part, from early morning right until the 7 o'clock hour, we were in this little trading range. That's a failed break lower. It's a retest of the double bottom. You're probably going to get a retest of the high for this little channel. So I kind of like that to the upside. It's a little bit aggressive because it's not a real good signal bar. So I did mark it in green, but I still think it's a trade that most people are going to want to take. And it did turn out to be a nice, easy move. And then you get let me move this because you can't really see it, but this is almost like it really is a failed second entry short. But notice the new low here, it's lower than that swing low. So this is a new swing low. So you're moving up, you get the first entry below that bar, and then it turns up. And so when you go below this bar, that's like a two-legged pullback to the EMA. And if you went to a smaller chart, you would definitely see two legs back and a second entry long here with a failed second entry short. So I like that to the upside. It's right off the trend line. Most of the times you get two legs up to a new high anyway. So I like that. And then again, you get another little two-legged pullback. This one's more congestive looking. We do have a break and two new legs to a new high, so it's a little bit aggressive. But what I would do is when it broke higher right here, I would have dropped a limit order, a tick or two back in there to see if I could get filled and see if you could get a quick scalp. But you could have got either way, even with just using the stop. But again, it's a little congestion area, and it's a failed break lower that reverses. And again, there's a little failed second entry short right there. Um, if you went to a smaller chart, it'd be a two-legged pullback to the trend line, the EMA. It bounces really off. And notice how everything's closing way up here and all the stems are down low. That's telling you something too. Um, and then I didn't think you could risk anything else after that. It's just not worth risking it. There's another trade here that works. And again, it's a little two-legged pullback. That's really aggressive. Um, I just didn't like it. If you saw it, it might have been a green trade, but I just think it's too late now. You've got your break, your two legs up. Um, this one was a little risky. Anything past that's even riskier. And then you finally get the sell-off. And then that's a little two-legged correction. And I know I wasn't the only one that saw this. The other traders looked a little different than mine. He had a bunch of matching bars, but he drew his line off the lows, carried it to the top, and then he saw this little two-legged correction right back to that trend line. So I know I wasn't the only one that saw that, and that was very good on his part. So that's like a second entry short right there. If you went to a smaller chart, it would be. It's a two-legged pullback. Turned out to be a great trade, and then of course we were in all this. And notice you got a little trading range. You got a failed break out the bottom, failed break out the top. But where's the trend going? We traded down into this. So what's likely to happen? We're most likely to go lower. I didn't like entering below this bar, so you had to wait on this one really. And then guess what? By the time that triggered, it went higher again. It broke out the top and then turned and went out the bottom. Just have a stop waiting there. And that was another quick, easy scalp. And then same thing, you get another little correction back to the trend line. You get a nice bearish bar right there. It ends up closing a little bit higher. I shouldn't say a nice bearish bar, but it's got a bearish tint to it. And then this bar's got a little bit higher low, so that's still like a first entry pullback, second entry short. Even though it didn't break higher, it tried to go higher again. Little two bar matching top, it's right off the trend line. And you're expecting prices now that they've gotten, and this is a breakout pullback short for this area right here. That's the open from today. Notice how prices came back to test it, went through, pulled back. So that's like a breakout pullback short as well. Several different reasons to kind of like that trade right there. So, and that's really all I saw today. And we still got a couple of minutes to go before 1 o'clock. Notice how we're bouncing now. Um, Generally, that's what you get, a kind of a range kind of day. And prices are swinging around the open here, which was the close was right here yesterday. Remember, the thinner lines are the previous day's stuff, and the thicker lines are the current day stuff. And the blue line, of course, I usually put what I like for the highs and lows of the day as my blue lines, the thicker dotted blue lines. So, but just remember the thicker lines are the current days. That's the current day's high. The green is. The red is the current day's low. The yellow looking color that you can't hardly see now because prices are right at it is the current day's open. And that I usually put those current days. And then if you look at the thinner lines, the black one is the close from yesterday. The green one was the high from yesterday. There should be a red one on here somewhere. What was the low of yesterday? It's way down here. And then there's the open from yesterday. So prices are much higher from the lows than the open of yesterday. So I haven't been putting that on there, but it's real important, and I often forget to talk about it if I don't put it on there. So I'm going to start keeping that on there. I know it kind of, it adds a little bit more of clogs up the I guess I should say it makes it a little messy looking. But notice how prices are working off those lines. Notice the close from yesterday, how prices are working both sides. Look at the open of today, how it's kind of played both sides of the price action too. Look at the high of the day from yesterday, how it's kind of played support and resistance. Again, some of the low and the open yesterday, prices have never gotten down there. But if they did, I guarantee you those lines would show some kind of something similar to what these are. They'll come into play somewhat. So just keep that in mind and pay attention to those lines. And we've only got a couple of minutes here. I showed 12:53, so maybe a couple of minutes. So I'm just going to pause it, and I'll come back on just as the news goes off, and we'll go from there. So I'm going to pause it just a minute. Actually, we've got more than a couple of minutes. We've got about 7 minutes. So I usually have my news go off 5 minutes prior, and you see mine has not gone off yet. So we got less than a minute till my news. So we'll watch that, and then I may pause it again for the next 5 minutes, just so we don't have 5 minutes of wasted. There may be some stuff I can share too with you. We'll go look at that as well. But let's just wait here a second and watch how my news warning will buzz 5 minutes before. That's just so that I don't get busy trading and forget to exit a trade or make a mistake and enter a trade right before a big news item comes out. And I generally only have mine warn me of high volatility items, the ones that are in red on my so we'll share this with you real quickly. Um, I had somebody else tell me that, and there goes my news, a little bit loud. I hope it wasn't as loud through the speaker. There they go. They're all going off. And you can see how they went from smaller to bold. So I know, that's your warning. And so that's all that does. And that was 5 minutes prior to the news coming out. So I got time to, you can change it to whatever you enjoy or want to see. And, maybe you like yours to come out 10 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever. Let me just show you. That's something we can go over. News right there, and you can see where you can set all the stuff. I've got mine set to 5 minutes with the wave. I only show the U.S. events only, and I don't show the low priority ones, and I only show today's stuff too. I don't want all this junking on myself. I'm only interested in it 5 or 10 minutes before it comes out, so that's what I have mine set for. Obviously set yours for whatever you like, and you can change the colors for whatever you want. Obviously red makes sense for the high priorities. Green is medium, and blue are the less, the low priority, but I don't have those show up. So and I have it set where it refreshes every 10 minutes in case they added something in there during the day. You won't see that very often, but occasionally they might add something. So pretty straightforward. Here's an email I got from a gentleman today. Just I'll read this one, tell you something while we're waiting on. We still got a couple of minutes before 1 o'clock. And it says, Mack, I would like to say thank you for all your help, patience, cajoling when needing, and for being you. I've been trying to get out of my own way for a while. Some days I think I have, and some days it would seem like I've never traded before. I think what finally clicked for me was in the question and answer series you currently have going. When I asked about your 80% accuracy, you answered that you expected 100% success on all trades. I was nervous on most of my trades, so I looked at how I could be more confident. That was my aha moment. I went back and looked at a number of YouTube videos and reviewed what I thought were my greatest weaknesses. I was looking at failed second entries. I still thought that selling tops and buying reversals were important. A day or two ago, you mentioned in your chart lesson the importance of following the rules, which I wasn't. And that was kind of his aha moment. He thought he was following rules, but he wasn't. He said, it took a while. I'm still not where I expect to be, but today there is that bulb burning down the tunnel, and I can see it. This morning, 7 trades, 7 winners. He didn't send a chart, so nothing to share with you there. But I just thought it was an interesting email because people always ask me, how do I know when I've made it? And it never fails. When you really are there and you're getting it, you will know. You won't have to ask, are you there? You won't have to question, do I think I'm there? There'll be many times you'll think you're probably there when you're not, but when you truly get it and it truly starts to click, you will know what's going on and you'll know where you stand and there won't be any doubt in your mind. And we're real close. And you can watch the price action, even though it may get really volatile and move really fast, the price action will still be valid during this new news move. And we may get a chance to witness that. We may not, and it may be just a dud. But generally, FOMC, even on dud, what I would consider a dud day for FOMC news, we'll still have some stuff going on. You can see it's a little emotional right now. You can see, you could see these 2 lines here are my bid and ask prices. And you could see that there were actually, look how there's a tick gap in there. And it's when you see that, there it is again. The market's really volatile. It's thin right now for whatever people are out. There's not as much going on. And it's moving pretty quickly. It's already gotten a little volatile. People are probably exiting that are in trades, and look at that. Wow, big move. You could see that, and that's FOMC stuff. We caught it in real time for a change, and man, that moved up there so fast. And I mean, You watch. The price action will still be valid. It just will move so quickly, and it's hard to read it as easily. And two, the moves will be much more exaggerated. So if you're wrong, you'll get stopped out almost instantly. If you're right, you'll get a profit almost instantly. So it's better just to sit it out. And there's your first break of that little trend line. Uh, we'll see if it still follows that, makes a new high here. That might have been considered a break and a new high there. But when it gets volatile like this, it's just hard to read it properly. In the end, you'll be able to look at it and see that it still followed all the price action rules. And here it goes, it's trying to make a retest. See if it's able to or not. But you got to close outside there. It'll probably make two legs or something. It may create some traps both ways. We'll see. But generally, the price action is still there, still valid. That's the point I guess I'm trying to make, is that you can see the range is still coming into play. We had a failed break out there. We just tested the bottom. Um, Everything still holds and holds true. It just happens much, much faster. Let's go ahead. We've really got a little trend line working down here. Maybe more like that. Let's see. Just watch it and see what happens here. And there's not got, probably nothing earth-shattering here that you aren't already aware of, but I do like to make that point and make sure people understand that just because it's volatile and it moves, it doesn't mean that it's still not valid price action. You can see that trend line right there, it's still holding. Prices are fighting against it, so it's still doing exactly what you would expect it to do. Only problem is it's doing it a lot quicker, and the moves, and look how big the bars are compared to earlier. It's a lot more exaggerated. Now we got a break. See if we get a close outside it or not. Generally, you have to have a close outside. Sometimes, a move like that might be enough to be considered a break. But generally, you want to see a close outside. Like you can see these little stems, that means nothing. Those little stems. It's this close outside is the break of the trend channel. I didn't mean to stretch it out like that. Look at it go. See how fast that thing moves? It's really volatile. It probably hit a bunch of stops there. But you can see this channel is still in play, just like any other channel. We haven't had that break yet. Now we're getting a close outside. Prices are trying to retest that low. And it could, it could continue to go lower, but once you meet the break and the close outside the new low, then that's when you start looking for a possible reversal. So again, nothing earth-shattering here. It's just, but the whole point of view here was just to show you that the price action is still valid and it still works the same. It just moves faster, and a lot of the moves are much bigger and definitely much faster. I mean, since the news started basically at 1 o'clock, it's now 1:04, almost 5 minutes. All of that happened in 5 minutes, where even this move, which happened pretty quick, 12:33, it took almost 30 minutes to make that little move, which was fairly strong and quick at the time, and it took 5 minutes for all that to happen. Normally, a bar takes about 5 minutes or so, 3 to 5 minutes, where we got all that movement, all those bars in a 5 minute period. So that was really what I wanted to try to share with you is that you still can count on the price action. It's still valid. Um, it just moves faster and it's much more volatile and quick and much quicker as well. So I don't think there's much more that we can talk about today. That's pretty much just burning time here, but we'll watch it just another second or so and see what happens. And now you probably could get some kind of trend line here working to the upside. Maybe more like this. Now where this other one's going to end up hitting will be anybody's guess. Kind of looks like right across there. And notice how I did that. I drew that off the bottom, drug it off the top. Will it be right? We don't know, but I'll show you how you can do that all the time, and it sure looks right so far. And that could end up being a midline too. So but that was in real time how you sometimes find those lines. And the reason I kind of like that spot right there is notice how there's a little gap there. Um, but anyway, definitely looks like it's going to be the high of that channel so far. It'd be interesting to see about the press conference. We'll see if it stays volatile till then, because it's only about a little more than 15 minutes away. Maybe not even 15 minutes according to my official computer time. So it'll be interesting to see if that causes any problem. Look, we came back and tested that line again, and we're turning down. You may get a opportunity for a second entry short here, and there could be a bigger channel working somewhere across here like so. It's way too early to know for sure on that, but definitely a possibility. And notice how that came into play even during the news. Look how it's acting. It acted as support. Now it's acting as resistance. So nothing's changed as far as all the stuff we look at. It's still coming into play, acting the very same, doing the same things. This might actually be. Might actually be more like that. We'll just have to see how it plays out. But that's how I'm always checking my lines and putting my lines on there. And then once you get one that seems to be holding, then you copy it and move it. We'll see if this one closes outside or if it closes back inside or not. Close enough to where it might be like that right there. Just test it on the. Well, that kind of meets up on the other side there too. Could be right, maybe not. Still early. We're still going higher. Of course, that could be a midline too, and there may be another one up there. But normally they're easier to find than that. I mean, this is just trying to find it real early in a trend. But you need to do that. I'm always doing that. Notice how this line has come into play just from drawing that line right there and dragging it up. And prices finally look like they're going to try to get through there, but we'll see. Yeah, but that's the other thing too that I forgot to talk about. Anytime you get a news event and you get a big move, it almost always takes it all back and resets and then starts over. And look what's just happened. We had this big move down. It turned out to be a down move, and now within 15 minutes we've taken it all back and we're right where we started. And that's just really typical of news events. It's amazing how this one could be more like this right here. Look how that's holding prices fairly decent up through there. So I believe this one's valid. Notice you got one move up, a little correction, then a second move up. It's not quite a measured move yet. Measured move would put us right there at the highs again. So will we get there? It's hard to say because this was the original channel, remember, and that's where we're finding resistance again. That was my original markings of my channel, my blue line, and it's come into play again. But you would expect it to come off this line, this upper channel line anyway, and come back to this line before going higher, even if it's going to go higher. Oh, and that's another important thing right there. Notice this new low, first entry pullback. There's a failed second entry short, broke out the bottom, then went out the top. Easy trap, easy scalp right there. And you can see this resistance area is still coming into play. Finally got through it, right off the trend line, and still working higher. My guess is we're going to meet that high right there at least. Wouldn't surprise me if it tries to pull back here and touch that line to test it. That's what normally happens when you break through. Hadn't done it yet. They got everybody trapped to the downside. Now they're just running, they're steadily running it higher and taking stops. And there'll probably be a large number of stops right up here for anybody that trades longer term that might have entered this for a longer term trade. They'll risk it all the way to here. And of course we don't do that, but need one more tick. All right, there's our target. We met our target. And that's why I'll usually exit. If I was going to use that for my target and an exit target, I'd exit a tick or two in front of it, just in case it never gets there, but it did get there. Sometimes it will get right there to it in reverse. And you see that we met that one to the tick, and now it's trying to reverse again. Funny how that works. But we show that stuff over and over and over. It's there every day. Anybody tells you that it's not, that you can't do that, is wrong. You saw us do it right there. I wish I'd have thought about it a little bit earlier, but I was still just trying to figure out where the channel was working higher here. And you saw how that one's really kind of obvious there, but you saw, I was looking at something else, and it was obvious that some other people were looking at it the same way I looked at it originally because it was holding at first. But generally only one way is going to be valid, and then you got to be pretty close. But that's that's a perfect measured move, and that's why I use those for my targets. And hey, if you get another long setup and you get a chance to go long, you can always add a nut, jump back in again. But why risk giving your profits back? go ahead and take what it's giving you and then look for a new entry. So, but anyway, that was pretty, I hope that was helpful to maybe look at that and watch how we did that and just see how the news reacts so we could talk about it at the same time. But nothing, nothing outstanding there out of the ordinary. Pretty, fairly standard stuff. So, but anyway, I'm going to wrap it up, call it a day. Hope you're at a good trading day. Hope this was helpful to you. Hope you learned something today. But we'll be back to do it again next time. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and I'll see you next time.